Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show. I'm Gregory Harden II, and today I am here with leftist YouTube streamer, one of the best debaters on YouTube and Twitch, kind of, and most importantly, Bloodborne streamer,
As it is
Vaush.
known.
Yes, most notably a Bloodborne streamer. Yeah. So, the questions I have for you. I'll start with this one. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop what you're doing. Okay. If you like this video and you like the other content on my channel, please hit the like button on this video. Also, go hit subscribe, like right now. And also, when you hit subscribe, click the bell so you can get notifications whenever I put out a new video. So, thanks. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. Which is just like completely random. I don't even know. But like, so you grew up in Beverly Hills, California, and your parents were liberal Democrats. I assume they were also Democrats, not just liberals, correct?
Yes, they were
Yeah.
they were liberals.
Okay, so there was like so were my parents. My parents, whenever I grew up, they were Democrats. That's how I ended up being a Democrat. So there was a panel you were on a few months ago where you were discussing, I don't even remember what it was, but it ended up being a relitigation of the 2000 election. And you were talking about how the Republicans in the state of Florida were like changed certain things. So, uh, what was it? So Bush would end up winning, Gore would end up losing, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was weird that you were the only person who like seemed like knew anything about that, and everyone else who was like left leaning on that panel was like denying that any like shady business happened in that, because like that's like one of the first like political things about an election my parents ever told me about growing up was the 2000 election. Like that was some shady shit and it was stolen, and like yeah.
Uh yeah, so you asking like how I arrived to those points?
Well, no, like I'm curious to know. I'm curious about how you felt about that in that instance where people like for you, it was like you knew these things were true, and other people were like saying, no, these aren't true things. And it just was odd that that happened. Like, how did you feel about that in that instance? And like, I don't know. How long had known about that? Did your parents tell you about the 2000 election whenever you were younger? Or yeah, how did you find out about those things?
Well, I think the line that Bush stole the election is a pretty common complaint from people, to the left of Reagan, I think, and has been for a while in the United States. In terms of the specifics, I don't think my parents ever like just sat me down and talked about it with me, but I think that for a lot of people, certainly my parents included, the 2000 election was basically what we would now refer to as a black pill. Um, the idea being that uh, in so many ways, the recount being stopped, the Supreme Court faced wide criticism for its the technicalities on this are really interesting. It was basically like the count was incredibly close. And there were recounts being done, but the way in which the recounts were being done was biased and non-functioning, and the implementation of a new process for doing a recount would have taken longer than the allotted length of time a recount is allowed to take. So what we got basically was proceduralism being used as an excuse to like kind of tip the scales of an election. The proceduralist element there being oh, it's not bias, it's just, well, the rules very specifically say that we can't go over this time limit, so we would rather allow the unfair result to go through than skip the time limit by a bit and have a better, more representative result. And I think that problem right there, the one of proceduralism being used as an excuse to subvert democracy, is something that's really under discussed in liberal circles. I hear an echo of myself, by the way. Am I on speaker?
You are not, at least I don't think so. It should be microphone and then me. Maybe, hold on, let me check and see if everything's working the way it should.
Oh, anyway, while you're doing that, to continue, you know, like the January 6th insurrection bit is a pretty obvious and direct and straightforward example of trying to subvert the legitimate results of an election. But so often it's not that explicit. So often it's just the grinding away at fairness through the selective adherence to, you know, really dumb proceduralist rules. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Did the echo go away or is it still there?
I don't hear it anymore.
Okay. I think I figured out the issue. But yeah, that and then also with that election, that kind of like in a way let people know that stuff like what the Republicans ended up doing in 2020 would be like where they would conclude, or at least eventually go to, is trying to subvert or stop outcomes that they want within elections. And sure, they failed in 2020 because it was a lot less of a what is it, blurry lines there. It was more concrete, like, yeah, you guys definitely lost. But that's what I think about whenever I think of the 2000 election, and then eventually Republicans took control of like every state house in the country and passed all the voter ID laws in 2010 and 2012. And but yeah. So when you were in high school, were you in any extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I was. One of them ended up actually being the impetus for me to get into the social sciences. I had a there was an advanced course for comparative history, which was all about looking at the essentially just the governments of 6 different countries: Russia, Mexico, the United Kingdom, a few others. I think Iran was one of them as well. It was really interesting. There are a lot of things we take for granted here in the West, and at the same time there are a lot of things we just blindly accept as good for like no reason. Like there are other countries that do other things, and those other things are just as fine, maybe even better, you know. I think it's good for adding some perspective.
That's cool. And that was the only extracurricular thing that you were in, or was there others?
I think I had a few other AP classes, but that's the only one I cared enough to remember.
Okay. Let's see. And when you went to college, what did you plan on doing with your degree in sociology whenever you graduated?
Probably NGO work, you know. Anyone with a decent handle on statistical analysis is just generally pretty useful in a bunch of fields. So I figured I'd probably do something like that. Nothing wrong with doing work like that, mind you, but sociology is not one of those, you know, extra one of those incredibly great at getting a job right out of college kind of deals. So I wasn't expecting to ride right into a 6-figure job.
Yeah. And also, how many years did it take for you to finish college?
It took a little while. I did 2 years of community college to get my associates, and then I took a break for a little while to save up money before going off and finishing my degree at university. So I think I finished back in 2019, which feels like a million years ago, but I guess it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. So it was like about 6 years altogether, or 7 years, right? Something like
I,
that.
I think it was 5 to 6 years if you count
Okay.
like the gaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I ask because a lot of kids and even some people who are starting out in college, they usually assume that that everyone should and is going to finish college within 4 years. And they'll look at people who are still in college after like year 5 or 6, still getting a bachelor's degree, as if they're like weird. But I always want people to know, especially people who are in your audience who I know are younger, that it's okay to spend more than 4 years in university or in college. It's not an abnormal thing. That's just how it is sometimes for some people.
Yeah, the fact that people get weird about older people in college really highlights the fact that we treat college as a jobs like training course, like a vocational program, rather than something that is like philosophically meaningful on its own to acquire knowledge. If we treated school as like a tool for knowledge acquisition, then people would be in school their whole lives, you know, at their discretion. But we expect somebody in their 30s or 40s to already have a career, so there's no point for them to be in college anymore.
Yeah, like at this point, I'm 20. I'll be 24 next month, and I'm like one of the older people on my college campus. I don't look it because I look really young, so I can pass as being a freshman. But um, whenever I'm in a class and people find out I'm like way older than everyone else, they're like, "Whoa, how'd that happen?" I'm like, things happen, it's okay."
You know, a
But
lot of
yeah,
people are just on the Zoomer track, you know.
yeah.
But they learn. I mean, all young people are like that with older people, right? When I first got into college at like 19, you know, I couldn't even imagine being 27. The idea was unfathomable to me. So it's just a lack of perspective, I think.
Hmm. So let's see. Okay, so when did you leave your libertarian phase when you were younger, and what exactly got you out of it?
I think it just kind of faded away with time because I didn't have a very strong like ideological attachment to it. You know, I think a lot of young people, particularly young men, to be fair, have this general idea, like their main political idea is that if they were in charge, things would be better. That's the main thing they believe. I mean, more so than anything else. So I think that lends itself to libertarianism because when you're young and kind of, you know, especially when you're young, it feels like the biggest imposition to your freedom is people putting rules on you. You know, if you've got parents, for example, I mean, if you're very young, like you still live with your parents or whatever, that is the main thing keeping you from doing things. If you want to do a thing and you're stopped from doing it, it will overwhelmingly be your parents who keep you from doing that thing. So you begin to think of freedom as an absence of rules. It's really common for young people. And libertarianism appeals perfectly to that bias because it's essentially, you know, mom, you can't tell me to go to bed. I'm 28 now. The ideology. Um, so once you have that down, past that point though, it's really just a matter of living in the world. I firmly believe that, like, you know, libertarianism is excusable up until you work your first job, because the first time you get a $298.76 paycheck after working for 8 hours a day, you know, 5 days a week, 2 weeks in a row, and you look at that paycheck and you just think about it for a second. The idea that the thing limiting you from doing what you want is rules, as opposed to the absence of resources which allow you to achieve what you want, is ridiculous. Um, so anything past that, you know, I don't I judge more harshly.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. And then what made you become a socialist?
Well, that took a while too. I didn't really think about it like that at first. I feel like my first order principles haven't actually changed in a really long time. Um, you know, not since and probably back the same when I was a libertarian, I think. I think I just really like the concept of freedom. I just didn't have a good understanding of it at first. I thought it was, you know, the absence of rules. But as I got older and realized that if you're poor or working class or whatever in America, you know, there can be nobody putting rules on you at all. You still can't do anything without money. That limits you severely. Um, I think my thinking just evolved naturally from there. But if you genuinely care about freedom, you know, not like some weird like American gung ho nationalist version of freedom, but genuine the real ability to do things to make yourself or others happy. I think that socialism just naturally follows. We understand, for example, that freedom was kind of the rallying cry for Americans as they fought against the British during the war for independence. And what were we fighting for then? Democracy. I mean, the idea then that economic democracy would be sacrosanct to anyone who values freedom follows naturally.
Yeah. And let's see. You were able to vote in 2012, right? Did you vote in the 2012 election?
Was I able
Or
to vote in 2012? Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
you would have been 18, I think, right?
Wait, hold. Oh God. Wait, hold on. 20. Wait. Yeah, I guess wait. Yeah, I guess I must have been. Wow. Yeah, I think I remember doing the vote.
And I imagine you probably voted for Obama because you were out of your libertarian phase, or like,
I was still more in the libertarian phase at the time, but I never bought the idea. Whatever libertarian phase I had never led me to believe that the Republicans were better about that. I think I liked Ron Paul at the time, but Ron Paul wasn't running for president, so that wasn't really up on the docket. But I think I thought of I was never reactionary. Obama was very clearly the more progressive option over over Romney. Romney just kind of had a giant stick up his ass. Very country club energy. I think that more so than any economic principle probably cinched my vote.
yeah, that's interesting. Wow, you sound like, to most of the people in chat, you probably sound really old because you have to vote for Obama. Like,
Well, yeah, I imagine so. At the time it was very much like a default vote for me. I wasn't that politically involved back then. My libertarian biases were just kind of a window dressing. I think there's a pretty big difference between being politically involved and having political biases. Political
yeah,
biases are omnipresent. Being politically involved requires more of you.
yeah. Um, yeah, getting to vote for Obama does put some years on you, because I didn't even get to vote for Obama. I voted
Well,
for Bernie. Was the first person I got to vote for. That was in 2016. But
yeah, I do
yeah,
remember. Um, I actually remember when Obama won back
yeah,
in
me too.
2012. I remember people cheering out in the my parents were watching the news. I think they were watching Fox actually because they wanted to see them mad.
The tears,
And
yeah.
right, yeah, they wanted the comedy too, in addition to the updates. And I remember, and the electoral votes were trickling in, and my parents were like, I think he's going to do it. And I didn't think there was any other way. I mean, Obama was so popular. He had such a tidal wave going from nobody gave a fuck about Romney. um so when he did, when I heard cheering outside, um which is pretty funny, I guess. And in retrospect, of course, Obama was not the best, to put it very lightly.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, he was better than Romney, so and
yeah.
maybe, probably, I have to hope so. Yeah.
um, let's see. Episodes of the Green Corn Rebellion Show are sponsored by Oklahoma Progress Now. Oklahoma Progress Now is a 501c4 organization focused on building progressive power in Oklahoma. Their primary efforts are on developing progressive content for a 21st century audience, coalition, and capacity building across progressive organizations and causes, and working to see elected leaders who are more responsive to their constituents and the needs of the many. Areas of focus include progressive messaging and communications, coalition building and resource sharing, and focused progressive policy goals. You can check out their Twitch live streams, and they go live on Facebook at noon, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please support this organization. It's a really great organization. It's just getting started here in Oklahoma. Thank you. Now enjoy the rest of the video. So let's see. So sometime when you were in high school, or assume this would have been when you were in high school, you started watching a streamer who goes by the name of Destiny.
Some call him
Uh,
this, yes.
yes, more and more people are calling him this. What originally drew you to his content? Like, was it just the video games? Because, like, I'd imagine because he was reactionary back
I'm
then,
sorry,
or
wait, hold on.
yeah,
Mike,
go
just a
ahead.
second. Mike, wait a second. My cat knocked over.
Go ahead.
Wait, stop. You stop. Stop. There's a paper towel with barbecue sauce on it in that trash can, and I know he just wants to fucking eat the barbecue sauce. I'm terribly sorry. Would you mind?
I'll repeat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started watching Destiny. What originally drew you to his content? Was it just the video games? Because I'd imagine like back then you would have like tuned him out whenever he would talk about politics, because back then he was like right wing.
Well, early on, he didn't talk about politics that much explicitly. You know, I think he would argue a lot with people, but back then I don't think anyone really called it like a debate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was just bringing people on and talking to people. I was also interested in the technology at the time. Live streaming technology was very young, and it was just really cool, like the potential of a person being able to create essentially a video live
Yeah.
and interact with chat. You know, I mean, obviously I have an affinity for the medium. I quite like it, you know. So I'm thankful that I had an interest in that to begin with.
Okay.
Oh,
And
also, I like
yeah.
StarCraft. I like StarCraft too. He played StarCraft. I've always been a big StarCraft fan.
Okay. Yeah. Around whenever this was, I don't know when this would have been, like 2010, 2011. I was not even really even on the internet back then, because we had no one's in chat is going to know what this is, but we had dial up at my house. So if I wanted to use the internet, I mostly just used it to look up stuff on Wikipedia or news articles and stuff like that. So I wasn't on YouTube or whatever Twitch was, Justin TV back then. That was something YouTube was something I started getting into when I was like in college, when I had Wi-Fi.
Fair, reasonable. My internet's always been, I mean, pretty good. My dad does tech work, so you know, it's never been bad. An affinity for tech runs in my family a good
Hmm.
bit. My grandfather, I would visit my grandparents in Florida during the summers when I was a kid, and my grandfather, um, he would build computers, like old computers together, those old iMacs that had the transparent backs and like those big blocky Windows computers really early on. And he was old. I mean, even back then he was like 75 or something. So I think my family in general sort of through osmosis, I just interested in the medium.
Okay. Um, let's see. Uh, okay, so I know that you started your channel with the encouragement of Hassan Piker in Destiny. Well, what was your original goals and objectives when you started your channel and started streaming? And have those objectives and goals changed a little bit over the last few years?
Actually, I don't know if it was Destiny himself as opposed to his community. The funny thing
Yeah.
is, though, um, was that this isn't actually my first channel, and these aren't my first streams. I don't
Ooh.
know if there's any way to unearth this now, but I tried Twitch streaming way back when. My internet could barely handle it. This was back when Twitch was exclusively for games, um, and uh, I wanted to, you know, try live streaming. My internet couldn't really handle it. I was playing like FTL or I think the original Binding of Isaac and talking with people, but my internet was so bad that the additional bit rate consumed by showing the animation from even a game like FTL would slow down my computer, or slow down the broadcast, everything. So I turned off the games and just chatted with chat, and then a Twitch admin came in to my 3 viewer stream and was like, hey, you need to be playing a game or you can't stream, because this was back when Twitch was so small that
Yeah.
that could actually happen. So even back then, I wanted to play video games and talk to people, and I always enjoyed the talking to people more than the playing video games. Clearly, because I kept getting pulled off of it. So
That's interesting. So when you started this current channel, what was your like was politics what you were really wanting to do? Was it debating people? Was it, coconuts? What was your main goal with this second iteration of your streaming? And yeah.
to have fun. I'm a firm believer with stuff like this. You'd better have fun doing it, because there's not much else keeping it together. Not even the money. Plenty of people in this space make money and they go insane anyway. You have to have fun. I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. I like talking with people, sharing my thoughts and issues. If I can't have fun streaming, I won't stream, and if I can have fun, I'll keep streaming no matter what. So as long as that stays consistent, so will these things. If the original goal of my channel, like broadly, was to have fun with it, then I'm definitely still doing that. Just the means by which I have fun has probably changed a little bit with time. Obviously,
Yeah.
we all grow and mature.
Yeah, and some of us start expressing our bad MCU takes as we get older as well.
Yeah, if only we had any, but when we don't, like me, then it never happens.
Okay, sure. So the coconut analogy. So some people in your audience probably don't know this, but the first time you used this analogy was in a debate against Xkillsme in 2018 that Destiny hosted. And he's a libertarian as well. But I wanted to know if you had thought of the coconut analogy like weeks before the debate or before the debate or something like that, or did you think about it in real time during the debate? And what exactly was it that you were your purpose in making it so hyperbolic and funny? Go on.
Well, uh, I did use it in that X skills me conversation,
But
and then
it was less complicated as the other one though, but it was still generally the same thing. Yeah.
right, I've refined the formula with time.
Yeah.
But no, I was actually shocked when I saw that X skills me bit, and saw that I'd used it back then, because I didn't remember using it back then.
Really?
No, God, no. It was wild to me when I saw that. Like, oh my God, I have no memory, and everything keeps happening all over again. Like trapped in a time loop. It's not a novel analogy, but it's also never something I've consciously thought up beforehand. The idea of using a deserted island as a way of demonstrating scarcity in its simplest form isn't new to me. Somebody saw a similar analogy that went back all the way to the 70s, I think, and it probably goes back way further than that too. It's a good analogy. Now, the dick sucking thing was evocative edginess for the sake of evocative edginess, but I think there's also a bit of utility in that, because it's meant to be a pointer against libertarians, and most libertarians, I'd go so far as to say, basically all of them are men, and a lot of them are men with very strange and dumb ideas about their identity and their autonomy. And I feel like talking about sucking dick cuts at the heart of the issue and removes from them the ability to do any of this how would you call it, this I would simply work harder because I'm built different, that kind of bullshit. Because if it was if the coconut man said, oh, I'll give you coconuts as long as you work for me, then the guy would be like, oh, of course, I would simply work very hard and impress him with my hard work and get all the coconuts and work so hard he gave me all the they do some shit like that.
Yeah.
But by making it sucking dick, an activity that no libertarian has ever enjoyed because they've never done it because they're virgins, I feel like I cut at the heart of the issue a little bit better.
Yeah, I remember hearing like I remember that hearing that analogy, well, not for the first or for the first time for me in your Adam Kokesh debate. Because I remember when I first got into your content, I started watching your debates, and the one with Adam Kokesh was one of the first handful of ones that I watched. I was like, whoa,
I
what
quite
is up
like
with the
that one.
coconuts? Yeah, that's a good debate. I go back to that one from time to time. I've had to send the clip of you giving the analogy to friends of mine. So if I ever make a reference to it, they'll know what I'm talking about. Um like I can't like just not, but the other thing that you've randomly came up with that you've used in a debate before is the Olden's number thing.
Yeah.
And that is fun. You can do that on anyone. So like I'm a substitute teacher. This is bad, but I have like asked students in class, like, hey, does anyone know about Olden's number? And occasionally I'll get a student say, yeah, I know, I think I've heard about it. And then it's like, oh, really? Could you tell me about it? They're like, I don't know. I have to go look it
No,
up.
well, it's such a call out. Yeah, no,
Yes.
it works. So the thing is, I preempted the reason I came up with this was because of my arguments with tankies. The thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people will avoid making real arguments and instead defer to a kind of reflexive, I know it all because I know this name, I've read this book, I've, seen this movie, I've read this piece, that bullshit. Which is why I say, that I've read all theory, because
Yeah.
they can't prove that I haven't. So let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the actual issue then. The Alden's number thing is kind of a catch for that from the other side of things. People who are so obsessed with doing in sincerity what I do in jest that they will essentially pretend. The thing is, honest to God, like, I think a lot of people just sort of reflexively say yes when they're asked if they've heard of something,
Yeah.
uh, but when you're doing that in a debate, in a test of skill where knowledge means a lot, um, I think it says a lot about a person if they reflexively say yes to something like that. It means that they're concerned with maintaining the image of somebody who knows that much more than you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've done it with other things, not just in math classes, where I remember one day I was asking them, I was supposed to be going over the citizenship test questions with them because in Oklahoma, our high schoolers have to pass the citizenship US citizenship test before they graduate. New rule, new law.
Cool.
Anyway, it's kind of dumb actually, but nonetheless, so I had to read off the questions with them. It was a handful of students in class, and none of them were really being responsive. And I just asked them, "Hey, does anyone know about Alden's amendment?" And they all like kind of looked at each other like, "No, I don't think so. No." And then I was like, "Really? You guys should have learned about that." And they were like, "Could you just?" And then they were like, "Can we look it up?" But I'm like, "Sure." It's funny, like it's a good one to use whenever you just sort of like have fun with people. It's
I got to be
it's
careful.
yeah.
One of these days, one of them is going to understand the reference and call you out for watching me.
See, I know, right? Because that's the other, like, usually they'll just go to like, they'll type it in Google and see it on Urban Dictionary, and then they'll see it. And then I'm just like, yeah, I know that guy Vaush. But yeah, I
They'll be
haven't,
like, "Oh, that racist, sexist, transphobic, Nazi, pedophile, communist." Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Ironically, though, I have had two students of mine who knew who you were, because they saw me on your live stream last year, and one of them came in class and was like, "I saw you on Vosh's stream," and I was like, "Wait, you saw me where?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh my god, okay,
Yeah,
cool."
this is why I concealed carry at all times, just to be ready, for anyone recognizing me like that in public. You always
Yeah.
That's like all fans of me should keep the cyanide pill tucked right underneath their tongue, so that if the time ever comes, they can immediately deploy the escape.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and is it? I think it's weird. I don't know. Other people probably do this too, who are obsessed with the coconut analogy. But when I see people in an argument, I always either I'll say it out loud or I'll say it to myself like, "Oh, bust out the coconuts on them," and it's no. Anyway, you have good debate tactics.
The
Let's
coconut
see.
thing's a pretty
Yeah,
niche
it's very niche. Yeah, no
pointer
one. Yeah,
with yeah, in terms of what it defeats too. I've
yeah,
seen some people, apparently there are people in my community who will use it as like this catch-all anti-capitalist
yeah,
argument, which it's not, of course.
yeah.
It's specifically about the idea of a, like a free transaction, or like what would you call it, you know um
Voluntary.
yeah, true voluntary transactions, yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
And coercion, consent, and stuff like that. But outside of that, its uses are fairly limited.
yeah. Let's see. How many more do I have here? There's another one I had. I think I skipped it. It was an interesting one. Hold up. Coconuts. Okay, so have within the last few years of you being a public figure within the online left, do you think the online left has gotten better or worse? And in what ways do you think it's gotten better or worse?
It's definitely better than it was a little while ago, that's for sure. The problem is there wasn't really an online left like 5 or 6 years ago. There was like a hodgepodge collection of AFAB YouTube feminist media critics, and that was like it. Things have definitely gotten better since then. Since 2019, since I started, there have also been a ton of changes. Obviously, my presence in the online left has facilitated a pretty significant paradigm shift for the online left, um, both what I've done and people's responses to me, which is fine by me. I'll happily accept that. We still have our like bread tube video essayist types, and God bless them. We have a lot more streamers, way more lefty streamers, and that's great. Um, a lot more lefties doing debate as well. But there's also been a blowback, and there are three main blowbacks, I think, three main like elements of resistance that have gotten worse with time, I think. One of them is definitely like this weird reflexive anti-debate bro thing.
Yeah,
I don't really get it. Look, there are elements of, I guess you could call it debate bro culture or whatever, that are worthy of criticism, but there seem to be a lot of people who, like, frankly, they dislike me, and then they're like, well, Vaush is a debate bro, so debate bros are bad, and like that's it. That's like the whole
yeah,
process, like, yeah, they don't, like, well, why is it bad? And then they repeat the same old hackneyed like, well, you're platforming bad people, which it's like it's completely meaningless. um I think that's a bit dumb. That's pretty much directly a reaction to my existence, I think. Um, you have the oh, you have the tankies, I think, that have gotten a lot more prominent. The thing is, I don't actually know. I don't actually know if they're more prominent than they used to be. Um, I think they're louder now. I'd like to take some credit for that too, because before me, nobody prominent on the left actually like argued with them. There's just been this passive acceptance in the online left for a long time of people who just sort of blindly like China, who just think China's the vanguard of modern socialism. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I feel like for the longest time, like, they've just been tolerated, like, even if not agreed with, they've just existed, and people didn't really talk about it that much. um I do talk about it, and they're mad about that. And then you have the Jimmy Dore types, of course, the like Russia, Syria, um Assad is a hero of the people. The only way we can ever get healthcare is by allying with neo-Nazis, those types.
yeah. Um, yeah, I would say like with the debate bro thing, you're 100% right with the blowback from that pretty much just being anti you or anti Xander Hall or even anti Destiny. Because I know some people who they watch the Majority Report and they love Sam Cedar, but they will shit on debate bro culture. And I'm just like, Sam Cedar is one of the original debate bros. Like he's debated libertarians for over a decade on his channel. And like he's also like, you know, a part of this thing that you claim to hate, even though he's not a person you hate. So really it's more like you just hate these people, not what they do.
Yeah, the funny
Um,
thing is, in terms of like debate bro affect, I legitimately think Sam Cedar might have me beat. If you watch his
yes.
debates, he's incredibly fucking rude to the people who
Yes.
it's like if you call in and he doesn't like your ideology, he is downright contemptuous towards you. And though I am not complaining, I think that's fine, but it's very obvious, you know. Um, so in terms of that, yeah, you know, I'm the product of my influences, and Sam Cedar is definitely a guy I respect.
Yeah, like he's probably even debated more people than you too, because
Oh
he
yeah,
has a
oh I'm sure,
whole
yeah,
like
probably.
compilation playlist of libertarians he's debated and whatnot, and they're all men.
Yes,
um,
yeah. Um, he is very very misandrist, very bad.
yeah, I'm working on getting him on my show one of these days. He knows me. I've called into his show several times.
Hey, get him.
Let's see, and let's see. Uh, okay. So another thing that I liked about your channel, especially at the beginning, was that you were giving like self-help advice for people in your videos, like telling people how to get friends and whatnot, and how to talk to girls and date people. And you were like one of the only people on the left who's like actually taking that stuff seriously. And you've even talked about how the patriarchy is bad for men and stuff like that. Will you ever do more of that stuff in the future?
I think I touched on it from time to time. The issue is that the advice is fairly non-temporal, you know, like it applies pretty much all the time, which means that changing conditions aren't going to, you know, it's rare that I'll have something new to say, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to touch on it from time to time, you know, especially with the pandemic. I feel like a lot of people on the left are really bad at giving advice to men in particular, because there's this kind of uh, how do I don't want to come off as like sexist or whatever, but like the online left is very gay and very female. Even if it's not majority gay women, it's just it's very very much a product of these influences. Um, it's very, how do you put it, effeminate,
Mm-hmm.
uh, whatever it is. And there's no getting around that. There's a reason why, you know, all of the guys on BreadTube are either like non-threatening soft boy uwoos or turned out to be trans women. There's a pattern at work here. You know, the presence of more masculine coded guys is, at least was for a while, lacking, especially I think in the some of the self-help department issues. Also, a lot of people on the left aren't willing to acknowledge some very basic truths. Like a lot of people hate the term sexual marketplace, which I don't really get, you know. If you want to talk about the dynamics of dating, the term sexual marketplace is a perfectly apt analogy. You know, a lot of people will bullshit you with this, like, just work on your personality, whatever. Or there's a lot of aphorisms, a lot of feel good shit. But look, if you're giving advice to guys who are having trouble dating, you can't piss on their feet and tell them it's raining. You have to be straightforward about a few parts of that.
Yeah. 100%. Let's see. Another thing I'd like to talk with you about is the N word.
Hmm.
So
You want me to say it?
first, no, please. I don't want you getting canceled again. But
Okay.
uh no, but I would like to say firstly, as a prominent black leftist, as some of my friends like to call me. I am giving you a pardon for your tactical use of the N-word on the kill stream in 2019. Now, due to this pardon, no one should be allowed to give you shit for saying the N-word that one time
They'll
ever
say you're
again.
not really black.
I know, but here I am being
You,
black and whatnot. Yeah. What were you about to say?
Can you trace your ancestry back 6,000 years to the Nubian temples? How far back? They'll get you. You know, it's
They'll get me.
yeah.
They'll find out my favorite rapper is Eminem and my favorite band is Linkin Park, and then they'll say no black person has ever said those things.
Yeah, they'll look at your shoe collection, make some very unkind judgments.
Yeah, they'll do that. I'll give them that too.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, that was a shot in the dark on my end. But yeah.
But no, you have your pardon now. This is gonna get clipped and people are gonna give me crap for that. Anyway, I don't care. You have
what if I do it again? No. Can I do it again?
This is not a this is not a retroactive pardon. You have to like apply for another pardon if you say it again on stream. So like, yeah, this is just for that one specific time. All right,
just making sure.
You
just,
can
just
even
reading the fine print.
Yes, I'll even go back to that video and like comment that I gave you the pardon. You know, I'll do that too.
That video's comment section is a wasteland, so best to add oil to the tire fire.
But no, I was wanting to say, you in your videos 2 years ago, your 4-part videos on your problems with the left, you talked about how what was it? I'm probably gonna phrase it wrong, but the way that you said it was like younger white boys or younger white men that say slurs but aren't necessarily like politically engaged or aligned with anyone. Like we shouldn't be completely ostracizing them from the left just simply because they're young and think it's okay to say slurs, because like if we push them away from the left, then the right will swoop them up. And because they're young, they do have the ability to be able to grow out of saying slurs and become left-leaning people. But if we don't give them that opportunity, the right is going to snatch them up. I like that is pretty much what you said, right? Like I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that. Yeah.
So the matter at hand here is it's about signifiers, more so than anything else. There is a big difference between being racist, as in thinking racist things, giving racist signifiers, that is indicating characteristics that people associate with being a racist, and making the world more racist, which in a consequential sense is what I'm ultimately concerned with. So the former two are important because they lead to the third, right?
Yeah.
But there's not a perfect overlap between the first one and the second one. Being racist and signifying racism are not the same thing. I'll give you some examples, okay? Now, for me, a big signifier of racism is, let's be totally honest, a clean-shaven white dude with a Mormon cropped haircut, wearing a business suit, standing around somewhere in downtown.
Mitt Romney, obviously.
Some Romney fuck. If I was to take like your average American, they would probably be less racist than your average person of that description. You're selecting for a bunch of things here. A guy, probably upper middle class if they're just standing around wearing a suit, clean shaven. Not necessarily, but maybe. Just chilling in a business district, like, you've got a couple signifiers there, but that's not a guarantee that the guy is racist. That could just be a regular goddamn guy, and I feel the same way about a lot of things that people typically associate with, racism. Like, for example, saying the N-word. Now, depending on how you do it, saying the N-word can either be as clear as day of an indicator of racism or not very much of one at all, and I've grown up with a good range of people. And I've heard people be incredibly racist without ever saying the N-word. And I've heard people be very anti-racist while saying the N-word, I think that there's a strong utility as a signifier there, but I don't think it's a perfect overlap. And there are a lot of young people, especially, and guys especially, who have these signifiers who don't think of them as things that associate with racism. They're not there yet, Like going on 4chan, which I did, may be a signifier of being a racist, but it is not, descriptively 100% an overlap. You have to be careful about stuff like that. And there are kids who grow up in Los Angeles who are white as me who say the N word because they grew up around Black people who also say the N word. There's a lot of variance there. So it's important to look past the signifiers, to look at more substantive things. And if you have people who seem to be quite progressive, but they're problematic because of this, that, or the other, I think there are ways to address the problematic elements without wholesale discrediting them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, whenever I was like in high school and even middle school, there's plenty of like white kids that said the N-word all the time, but like it wasn't like at me or at another Black person or like used in like a racist way. And at the time, I would like say to them, like, hey, like you shouldn't say that. And they would like say, oh, well, I don't mean it like that. And some of them would get pretty defensive about it, but then others would kind of just say, like, oh, I didn't mean it like that, and kind of just like, not really say anything else. But like the ones that got like super defensive about it, I'd say to them, like, hey, like one day, like you're gonna not meet someone who's like nice about it, like I am, and they might just like beat you up for saying it. So like you've been warned. But like, and a lot of those kids, they grew up into be adults, and a lot of them now they're leftists who don't say the N-word, and or if they're not leftists, they're like, you know, decent people who aren't saying the N-word and aren't racist as adults. And
Yeah.
whenever you put that in your video, I like agreed with it 100% and thought that it needed to be said, because I feel like a lot of people, they get this idea that because you say certain things when you're younger, or even if you're a little older, because I'll give some leeway on this as well, like that automatically means that you're definitely 100% a racist. And I'm just like, no, like come on, let's be a little
Or
bit
or like
nuanced on
saying
this. Yeah.
gay in a derogatory way, or saying fag, right?
Yeah.
Like tons. Listen, back at least from high school 2007 to 2011, okay, everyone said fag. Oh my
Yeah.
god, everyone did. Like it was like a completely non-political, like just absolutely everyone did, and did a lot of those people turn out to be homophobic? Yeah, but as many didn't, or maybe more didn't.
Yeah.
Like it ended up being, well, it was still a signifier, but not a very strong one, because if everyone's doing it,
Yeah.
yeah. And there are plenty of people who would never in their lives say fag who are still homophobic. Think of all those like suburban soccer mom types who have never uttered a bad word against the Lord in their life, but if their son ever came out to be gay, they disown him. It's not a perfect signifier. There are a lot of things people do, and people are complicated too.
Yeah.
I like, I'm sure that if you were to clip any left-leaning person's life up, especially when they were younger, you could probably pull things together in a way that make them look awful. um oh, actually, I remember this. This is particularly fun. I don't know if I've told this story, but I was in high school talking with some friends. We were in the hallway, just off in a corner. We weren't like in the middle of things, but I was making, I think it was a Holocaust joke, but it wasn't, the butt of the joke wasn't the Holocaust. It was a joke involving the Holocaust. It was,
Okay.
yeah, it was like one of those, you know what I mean? Like when I talk about how like woke scolds on Twitter want to be the
Yeah.
last person into the gas chamber, like that kind of thing. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
It's a very Jewish school that I was in. Some girl walks by, must have been a upperclassman, because
Hmm.
I was younger at the time, but she was like, you can't joke about that, da da da, kind of Karen-y, whatever. I wasn't bothering her. She just fucking walked past, heard me talk, and walked up to me. So as an American, it's my God-given right to make Holocaust jokes. So, her thing was like, do you know how many people died? And then I think my response was something like, yeah, well, you know how many like goy died like saving you guys? Come on, what the fuck? Only you get the joke, or something like that. Now, if you clip that on its own, absent surrounding context, what would people call you, like a Nazi for that? in context though, I was fighting for freedom of speech, so I was completely morally in the right.
Yeah, and then when it comes to like the N-word, there's some black people who are okay with white people saying it in certain contexts, like what is it? Like some people are okay with white people saying it if they grew up with black people, or I remember with a student of mine, is a black student, of course, we had a debate about he thought that Abraham Lincoln should be able to say the N-word. And I was like, whoa, 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 why exactly? He's like, because he freed the slaves. I was like, but did he really though? Like, let's examine this a little bit.
The real
Like,
question is, what are you going to do about it? If Lincoln just started saying the N-word, like, first of all, he's dead. But even if he wasn't, like, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, sir, don't say the N-word. He's like, he's Lincoln. Like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and I think I said to him, I said, now I personally think there's more of an argument for LBJ to be able to say it. And he was like, oh, I don't know anything about him. And I was like, oh, well, let me teach you.
Oh,
But
LBJ
yeah,
definitely said this.
he definitely said it, and I will,
100%.
yeah, and I'm like, I'll defend that, okay? Like he gave me the right to vote, and he told Southern racist Democrats to go suck a dick and die. So I'll let him say it, okay?
Oh no, he definitely, like, in the Oval Office was calling other, like,
Yeah.
the Democrats they liked, like, real N-words,
Oh
real
yeah, like
real
yeah, yeah,
um
yeah,
cool
and
guy.
also, oh yeah, no, like I said to people, that LBJ is pretty much the closest thing to a dirtbag leftist president that we've ever had. Like he's
Yeah,
like he's pretty much it right there. He's also
got
my
to
favorite
return to
president.
tradition.
For real, we need a Southern Democratic president in there who is not afraid to say slurs in the Oval Office. That's what we need.
Republicans have no
Better.
answer for this.
No, Beto needs to step up his slur game so he can run for president. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Oh no, this is gonna get clipped. Anyway,
The
no.
shoes recommending Huey Long and check. That
Yes,
is what we need though.
Huey
That's the
Long is still governor of Louisiana, so he's kind of preoccupied. Okay.
the Democrat we need. Republicans have no answer for this. Okay, they're on the debate stage. No one's heard them before, no one's seen them before. Pete Buttigieg is up there, he's the front runner for the presidency. He opens his mouth and our man just walks up to him and breaks both his kneecaps with a crowbar. Wins, makes it to the presidency, 80% of the vote. Immediately he puts 9 of his Catholic Irish siblings into cabinet positions.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a disputed gubernatorial election and he appoints a governor, and it's his mima. And then he puts the godfather of his firstborn in charge of, like, the newly nationalized American oil complex, and we just move forward from there.
Yeah. Oh wow, that'd be great. That's what we need.
That's what we need.
Oh, you said Shu is in chat. Tell her I said hi. Oh wait, she can hear me, can't she?
Yeah, she
Anyway,
can.
yeah. Oh well.
But
Tell
I'll
her
tell
that.
her.
Yeah. She needs to come on my show. Shoot me a follow and a DM. Anyway, next
She's
question.
skittish like a rabbit. You're good luck.
But let's see. So why are you so wrong when it comes to your Marvel Cinematic Universe takes? And
I
have
don't
you
know what you
seen
mean.
the new Spider-Man?
I have not seen the new Spider-Man.
Okay. Okay, so but have you seen like the other movie? Like you've seen the other Spider-Man movies, right? Not just the one with Tom Holland, but the other one with Andrew, and then the Tobey Maguire ones, right?
I saw the Tobey Maguire ones. I didn't
Okay.
see any of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I've
Okay.
only seen the one, the second to most recent one, the one where he fights Mysterio. That's the only one with Tom Holland that I saw, apart from his
Okay.
appearances in
The
Captain America:
Avengers.
Civil
Yeah.
War, the Avengers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So out of Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland, which one do you think is the better Spider-Man?
Toby Maguire is the Spider-Man of the people. I'm sorry. Okay. Listen, nothing against Tom Holland. I actually think he's a great actor, and I think he plays his role phenomenally well. I've got no hate for the kid. I actually have no idea. I mean,
Kid.
he
He's younger than you.
well, he looks and acts like 10. I mean, he's got like such a baby face. I actually have no idea how old the actor is, but um the um the yeah, the issue that I have with the Tom Holland Spider-Man, what happened to my chat? Are you guys just being slow? What is that? Hold on. Oh, there it is. My chat froze. That's weird. Hold on, I'll fix it. The issue that I have is that, like, Spider-Man was good because he was relatable. That was like the main thing. Okay, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was relatable. He was a struggling college student who was having like no luck in life. Raindrops keep falling on my head. No money. Door don't work. Landlord's a dick. Everything sucks. That was the thing. Okay. The problem that I have is that, like, the Tom Holland Spider-Man is just in a constant, like, fucking whirlwind cavalcade of being roped around by all the most powerful and important people in his universe. You know what I mean? Like he's Tony Stark Jr. right now. I just don't think you can. The relatability is just cut. It's just not gonna be there anymore. And I liked Spider-Man because he felt like he was a working class hero. He was a poor dude in like a ramshackle apartment. So people in chat are telling me to watch the movie, but it literally doesn't matter because they're wrong. I know the baby brain idiots in my chat who like Marvel are thinking like, dude, don't worry. After 6 movies of him working alongside Earth's greatest heroes and being given the equipment and technology to take over Tony Stark's thing, the events in this movie totally bring him back to being a proletarian hero that don't have all those ties. Shut up. He's already been on world news saving the world. Okay, shut up. God, you guys. They literally retcon that. I don't care. Shut up. I don't care. 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 I'm never going to watch it. I don't care. They're wrong and I don't care. Yeah, I'm going to look at the plot. I care so little. I'm just going to spoil it right now. Hold on. I'm just looking at the plot synopsis. I don't care. What's the name of the movie? Is it Far From Home or Can't Go
Yes,
Home?
Far From Home. Yeah.
Far From Home, Spider-Man plot.
Yeah, you read that plot off, man.
I literally don't care. Oh, it's No Way Home. It's No Way Home.
No Way
Far
Home.
From
That's
Home
it.
Okay. No Way Home. Okay, I'm not going to read it out loud, chat, so you don't.
Oh, come on. I was hoping he would read it out loud. Please read it out loud.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on. No, it's rated pretty highly. Okay, wait. Wikipedia. Plot. Okay, hold on. Okay, they fight this guy. Here, wait. I'm just gonna make like action noises. Here, okay. Oh, they fight. Oh my. Oh, he's too strong. Whoa, Marvel movie. Oh my god. Lighting effects. Every action scene is 17 different light points that don't exist in the scene. We don't know how to use sharp shadows. Marvel fans, when the hero's funeral scene is interrupted with a quippy one-liner. All right. Okay. Hold on, I'm almost done.
Wow. All 3 Spider-Men are in this movie too. If you haven't seen them, if anyone hasn't
I've seen the trailer, where they have different. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now is that I'm so smart and correct, and all of my ideas are so good that they literally had to rewrite reality to try to bring it even remotely closer to what I think is good. That's what I'm thinking. And you know what I think? I think if they wanted to go that direction, they could have stuck with Tobey Maguire. Okay? I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Don't care.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I need to revisit the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies because I saw them whenever I was a kid, but like I don't know. I just need to revisit them because I like the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
This is the problem with consolidation. I understand that the fucking dipshit Marvel fans in my audience won't care because they're just looking for more Funko Pop variants to stack on their wall instead of feeding their children and pets. But the problem with this is like Spider-Man can't exist in the same shared cinematic universe as people like fucking Hulk and Captain America and Thor, because the problem is whether or not these guys team up for a movie or for a villain fighting or whatever is mainly going to depend on how popular these characters are. It's mainly going to depend on like how much money their presence will add to the movie. People really like Spider-Man, which means they're going to keep roping him in, but Spider-Man just isn't Spider-Man when he's like doing like getting fucking handies from fangirls all over the world. That's not how it works. Spider-Man should be the working man's hero. Okay, he should wear a flat cap. I want a Italian Spider-Man. All right, wear a flat cap, argues with like the neighbor on the veranda on the opposite side of his flat. Local neighborhood Spider-Man. It's New York. I don't want this shit. You get what I mean, don't you?
Yes, I do. Because when someone explain, like a student explained to me why they preferred the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man over Tom Holland, and they were like, "Oh, because like he was like working and he was like poor and he like developed everything himself." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even remember that. You got a point. Like maybe Tobey Maguire is the better Spider-Man."
I
So
also prefer
yeah,
him not high school age. The issue is that like high
no,
school like he's better than that. Spider-Man doesn't need high school drama. Anyone can have high school drama. Spider-Man needs working class drama. That's what made the Tobey Maguire shit good. It wasn't like,
yeah,
ooh, there's a girl that I like. Remember the problems he had with MJ in
yeah,
the Tobey Maguire movies? The main issue he had wasn't just, oh, do I tell her the secret? He didn't have the fucking money. He was the loser. That was the thing. Tom Holland isn't a loser in
yeah,
his thing. He's like this like little fucking twink kid who in real life would have like 18 girlfriends. And he's like a superhero and he's like cool and he's he's like a nerd, but the cool kind of nerd. Tobey Maguire is not the cool kind of nerd. Tobey Maguire was a nerd. He was a little aspy wheezy fuck who looked like he couldn't bench lift a goddamn 20-pound dumbbell. And
yeah.
MJ was hot as shit, and actually she wasn't even that hot, to be honest. It
Okay.
felt like a real goddamn romance. No, I like that. Not every superhero girlfriend has to look like fucking Scarlett Johansson. They looked like a real couple. I liked that. But even for her, even in the movie logic or whatever, he was
Yeah.
still like kind of a loser and he didn't have the money and he didn't have the time. And I thought that was really nice. I liked that.
So my favorite part about the old Spider-Man movies is the like main theme for the first Spider-Man movie was the song Hero by Chad Kroeger, who's the lead singer of Nickelback. So that's like my favorite thing about the movie
There you
without
go.
having seen it in like 10 years.
There you go.
But
That's what we all got.
yeah, everyone should listen to more Nickelback.
Look, there are
So
people in chat who are mad at me saying I'm shitting on stuff they love. All I'm really saying is I like the movies. Go watch the first two Spider-Man movies. Let's be real. Watch the first two Spider-Man movies. They're really fun and not in some. They're not black and white. They're not like speckled. They don't. They're sound film movies. Three
yeah.
isn't that bad.
Let's see. What else is about? Oh, what do you think of DC Comics in that movie universe?
I haven't seen a single DC fucking movie.
Really? No, you've seen the Joker though, right?
Oh, well, that's not part of their cinematic universe, right? I mean, I haven't seen any of the
No,
DC
yeah,
CU
yeah.
movies. I really want to because they look really, really bad. This for a while now, I've been on this anti-Zack Snyder arc, and I feel like watching the Justice League movie uncut would like
Mhm.
fully pull me over and like black pill me on the Zack Snyder is bad pill.
I liked what was it? Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad, not the one from 2015.
I heard the new one is okay. I heard the new
Yeah,
one
it's
was okay.
really good. And I liked Birds of Prey. I don't know, like with DC, like their villains are people who
I
are
heard
like
Shazam was good. Heard
I
Shazam was
haven't
good as
seen
well.
that one. I haven't seen that.
I keep wanting
Uh
to. I'm just really bad at keeping up with media.
yeah, but it seems like with DC, like I've never really been that tied into like the comics universe or anything, but like it seems like with DC, like the villains are actually like normal people who like you can understand them and see why they ended up where they're at in terms of their like villainhood. But like with the superheroes in the DC world, like they're trash and they're not good at all. And like, I don't know. I just don't like any of the
What you mean?
heroes
You
in the
mean the
DC world.
villains? You mean the villains in the Marvel movies are relatable?
No, in DC. In
In
DC.
DC, oh,
Yes.
I guess I haven't seen enough. I don't. The issue that I get is it feels like none of the people in any of the DC movies are like real people. Like from what I've seen, they're just like it's like they're so obsessed with making them look cool all the time. The Marvel movies have an issue with everyone having to be a comedian. Like, for some fucking reason, everyone has to be a snappy little fucking comedian. That's very important to their script writing. But the DC movies go way in the other direction with taking themselves so seriously. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't seen any of them, but just looking at the trailers, like, it looks like I'm in for a miserable fucking experience. Like, oh, oh wow, your take on Superman is that he's dark and brooding. Like, okay, I mean, all the best Superman adaptations ever have gone the other route. Like, literally every single one. Like, all the DC animated shows have had Superman be, fairly sprightly and engaged. And then you have, the original movies, at least 1 and 2, which people liked. And then you have all the good comics like Kingdom Come, and he was in all of them upbeat. But sure, let's go with this new route where he's exactly like Batman. Is there a difference between Superman and Batman in those movies? Because when I see them in the trailers, they just both look like grizzled, muscly assholes who like growl every line and are very upset. Why? Like, why can't Superman be like campy and corny? He's like canonically corny. That's his whole thing. He's literally like the apple pie eating American good old boy. That one of the best adaptations, I think, was The Dark Knight Returns. Before Frank Miller lost his fucking mind, and you had Superman and Batman 20 years after they retire, or whatever. And Batman's like old and grizzled and grumpy and shit, and an idealist and a fascist and whatever. And Superman is like this State Department fucking ghoul who in spite of the fact that he's basically just like a Reagan toady, he still shows up with how does he look at? I'm sorry, hold on, I know I can't show you, but like Google The Dark Knight Returns comic Superman, and the panel where they first show him is he's so Superman. I mean, like, why not go with this? When did we get so cynical? You can be cynical with stuff like this because it was the fucking Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns was cynical as shit. Like, why can't he be like this big, like, good old boy? I'm sorry, I'm rambling like crazy. There's one where doesn't he have an eagle? Doesn't he get an eagle on his arm? Like, he's just like, yes, that was it. They got it in the animated one. He's literally just standing there, and an eagle flies to his outstretched arm because he's just that American. That's great. Do that. Just have that happen. Right? You get what I mean, right? Like, have Superman, like, you can still have him beat Henry Cavill, okay? Right? Like, because Henry Cavill is like disgustingly hot, okay? But why does he look like this? Can somebody explain to me? Why? Why does he look this serious? Have him smile. I know he can smile because he smiles when he's playing Geralt, and Geralt's also a grizzly, grumbly man. He's on trial. If Superman is on trial, he should be like Superman on trial shouldn't look like, he looks like a serial killer here. He shouldn't look like a serial killer. He should look like how do you put it? He should look like a substitute teacher who's very disappointed with the classroom. He should look like he's sincerely pondering his own guilt, but not like in an upset way. He's like, but more like in a, did I really do bad? Like, everything is wrong. The vibes are wrong. And it's not just this goddamn shot. He's like this in every fucking shot of the goddamn movie. He can't smile. Where is he? Here's the iconic image of Henry Cavill's Superman. You can tell so much from his expression what his mind is on right now. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done rambling now. I'm just showing pictures to my chat. I'm sorry. I'm being very
You're good. But no, you said the thing about Marvel superhero characters, they have to be comedians. Robert Downey Jr. did spend like half a season on Saturday Night Live in the 80s. So to be fair, he was a comedian.
Oh, don't get me. I think Robert Downey Jr., especially in the first Iron Man movie. I loved the first Iron Man movie before they did the whole, before the whole MCU thing really kicked up. I think his comedy was fantastic. I mean,
Oh, what
Yeah.
did you think about the X-Men and Wolverine movies? Did you see those whenever you were younger?
You mean X1, X2, and X3?
Yes.
Yeah, the God, those ended up sucking so much in retrospect. I think at the time
Really?
people I think at the time people liked them because at the time, like, we didn't really have superhero team up movies. So when
Yeah.
those came out, yeah. So when those came out, it was like, oh my God, we have like Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey, everyone next to each other. But I did rewatch one of those movies, X2, I think, which was the best one, uh, fairly recently, maybe a couple years ago, and I don't think it aged too well. Not gonna lie. And the third one is just bad.
I have to rewatch them because I really liked those whenever I was younger. I haven't seen them in like at least 5 or 6, 7 years.
Heard
That
Logan
was
is
like in high
good.
school. Logan
Heard
was good. That's the last one I remember seeing.
I need to watch Logan. Yeah, I remember X3 being incredibly dog shit. Like so bad. Like offensively. Even at the time, I remember thinking, like when I was a little kid, I thought like, oh my God, they really. Whew.
Um, so in the past, you've said that you don't really care so much for music, but you've said that Mastodon and Queens of the Stone Age, I think is who you said, are the two bands that you consider to be your favorite. Are
Man, you
there
got
any,
me.
yeah, are there any other rock or heavy metal bands that you like or listen to at all?
Um, I don't really listen to bands. I mean, I if I like a song, I'll add it to the playlist, but I don't really follow bands that much. Mastodon and Queens of the Stone Age were unique in that those were the two bands that I liked so much that I made
Mhm.
an effort to actually like keep up with their music, Like I made an effort to actually like continue to follow it. There are plenty of bands that I've liked music from generally, but I don't listen to music very often. So when I do listen to it, I want to listen to like the best music. Like a lot of people, like, they know like 400 bands. I don't have time for that. If I really like a song, I'll listen to it 100 times. I don't have
Mhm.
time for that much music. So I'm okay with just knowing about a few bands and a couple of albums. And just if I want to listen to music, I'll just listen to that. I've listened to like Clockwork from Queens of the Stone Age, like front to back, God knows how many times. And like that's fine. I'll keep doing that. I don't need anything new.
What's your favorite Mastodon album?
Crack the Sky. Definitely Crack the Sky.
Okay. I never really got into Mastodon. I'm more into heavy metal than like just rock music, but I never really got into Mastodon or Queens of the Stone Age. They're good bands though, but I was more into like new metal type stuff, like Korn and Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, Linkin Park, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
no, the classics. And I've listened to songs and enjoyed songs from all of those bands, mind you. Just it's I can only follow so much.
mhm,
I don't listen to music for a novel experience. I listen to music to help me focus or because I want to either reflect or adopt a certain state of mind. And when I want those things, I don't go looking for new music. I I already know the music. I just want to find the right music that I already know, to do what I already expect. There are also a lot of video game OSTs that I'm quite fond of,
mhm.
because they slap.
Okay. Um, let's see. I think that's pretty much all the questions that I have.
Oh,
Thank
that's cool. I
you.
can keep talking. No, wait, hold on. I wasn't done. I'll elaborate.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go on.
think that people give OSTs a really bad rap when they're like designed to do a different kind of thing. Video game OSTs generally are instrumental. They don't have lyrics because
Yeah.
they're meant to play to the background and stuff. I think the issue is that a lot of people, they hear about like, oh, you listen to video game OSTs, and they imagine that the person listening to video game OSTs is doing it in the same way as the person listening to regular music is listening to their music. But in my experience, it's not like that. It's about it's because instrumentals in video games are meant to complement what's going on in a scene. Music has to play usually behind character dialogue or without being like really annoying if it's on loop. It's really atmospheric, and it's also really, really good at tone setting. Which is why some of the best OSTs come from games that have, I think, really minimal audioscapes. For example, a game I recently played that I really enjoyed was Thronebreaker, The Witcher Chronicles, which is essentially just a single player Gwent game from The Witcher 3, stretched out over a 40-hour campaign, paired along with phenomenal voice acting and storytelling, which, like, it was a bop. I really, really liked it. But the music in it was also super, super good. And because the music has to accompany a bunch of different settings and tones in the game, you now have an OST that encompasses a huge range of emotion. Whereas an album might be about a specific story, or it might capture one specific sound or convey one specific tone. Not all albums are like monotonal, but they tend to, I think, have a pretty consistent audio theme, at least. A video game OST can have like, here's the happy song, here's the sad song, this song is like the very wildly different types of sounds that you can get, and I like that variety a lot.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on. I guess I'll end my recording here and we'll go back to Discord so we can talk about the campaign.
Do you mind just sticking on here? I feel like my visual capture device is going to fuck up again if I switch from
Okay.
the Zoom to the Discord.
Okay, so I still have to end it because of the recording and make sure the recording saves on. But
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah, end it. Just
yeah,
recall it on Zoom because it's calibrated for Zoom right now.
yeah. But I'll do that and then I'll just jump back on with the same link, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
Or send you another link. Either way. Yeah.
See you in a sec.
See ya.